Hey there folks, today we're going to be showing you how to replace the camshaft position sensor on all 2010 through 2017 Chevy Equinoxes and GMC Terrains. Now the one we're looking at is the intake side, which is on the front, and it's just behind the fuel pump here. We're going to get the air box and the beauty cover off, as well as this cover. We'll show you the whole process. Now, if you are looking for the video for the exhaust side camshaft position sensor, it's back there, and I'll put a link for that video in the description. So I'm going to get you on the tripod and show you what to start with. All right, so we're just going to do this part off camera, loosening the clamps, but you're going to look at your throttle body, and there's a screw right down there. You're going to loosen that up. Then you're going to come over here, pop your PCV off. Now, if you don't have an oil catch can like I do, you'll see a black hose coming up from the valve cover and pulling a U-bend and back into the air box, but it has the same fitting, so it pulls out exactly the same. And you're going to take off this hose clamp here. Actually, not take it all the way off, just loosen it. Either a flathead or a 5/16 socket on both those clamps I showed you. All right, so once you have both those clamps loosened up, we're going to pop this box off here. And for the beauty cover, just take off your oil filler cap and lift it off the grommets. And put your oil filler cap back on. And if you are working in a dusty or dirty area, it's a good habit to get into, to put a rag in your throttle body. So next task, we're going to get you a little closer up. We're going to show you how to get the cover off of this high pressure fuel pump so we can get the camshaft position sensor off, which is just underneath that. All right, now we're going to take off this protective case from the high pressure fuel pump. We're not taking the actual pump out itself. We just need the case out of the way because it overlaps the camshaft position sensor. So we need this off to access it. To do that, we're going to be removing this wiring harness right here. Then we're going to take a plastic panel popper tool to this piece here and also right down here. And then there's a plastic rivet right here. Then we have to take 10 mil bolts off, one right there, one right there. And there's one at the front as well, right down here. I don't have mine on because it's gone missing, but you'll have to remove yours. So I'm going to set you down and we're going to get all that started and taken off. All right, now to remove this wiring harness, we're just going to use a flat edge screwdriver. The thinner the better, just to try and pop that little red lock out. And then we reach under and pinch it, and off it comes. So we're just pinching this little piece underneath. Now this wiring harness, you just kind of push it down a little bit. Case comes off. And there's this rubber or foam piece as well. All right, so if you look at your large wiring loom, you'll see there's a small loom coming off right here, and you follow that and you see these colored wires right here attached to this sensor. This is your camshaft position sensor, and the bolt is underneath. I'm going to try and get you a good angle. I'm going to show you before we get our wrench in there, a nice close-up to show you where the bolt is. All right, so again, this is your sensor. And if you look right here, right behind this pump right here, that bolt, that is the one we're taking off. So this whole piece right along here is the sensor. That bolt is a 10 mil bolt. We're going to try and get our hands in there without being in your way in the camera. Get that bolt off, pull the sensor off, and show you what's up. All right, so I'm just going to show you my wrench setup before we start taking this thing off. If you see, I got a ratcheting wrench. It's a 10 mil, and I got it just going under the pump right there, and I got it attached to the bolt right under there because this fuel line right here seems to get in the way, and I can't get any sockets or swivels or extensions in there. So we're going to go ahead and get that with the 10 mil ratcheting wrench. All right, so I like to get this off most of the way with the wrench and then get your fingers in there, because you don't want to drop this down and lose it, because your new one will not come with a new bolt. And I'll put a link in the description for the part number for the sensor that we are replacing. All right, now we take our sensor and we're just going to push slightly down on it and wiggle it. And there is going to be a little bit of oil coming out, so have some rags handy. So that is our sensor there. Now all we have to do is take this gray piece, we're going to push that back. That is the lock, and then we push down on our harness. And it should pop out. I got a bunch of dirt and grime that's seizing that on. So there it is. Now I'm gonna put my old one back in. There's nothing wrong, I'm just showing you how to do this. So I'm gonna clean it up and put it back in. All right, so you get your wiring harness and your new sensor, and you put them on the exact same way that you took it off. Clip it into place. Lock your pin down. And to find the spot, if you're not familiar, you should be familiar where this came from, but just under this high pressure fuel pump bolt, if you look, run your finger along, you'll feel the home where this goes. So we just slide that into place and position it the same way that you took the old one out. Once you have that positioned, grab your bolt, and this is the part where you want to be most careful, trying to get that bolt into its home. And again, feel, nope, and we just dropped it. All right, so be very, very careful with this. And you may need to wiggle your sensor back and forth till you find that the bolt seats itself properly. Thread it in by hand till you can't get it in, and then take your wrench to it and just nice and hand snug. And just if you look down, you'll probably see, so this is your oil filter cap right here. If you look right in that little valley beside, that's most likely where your oil is going to spill down out of the camshaft hole there. So just mop that up a little bit, because you don't want to be alarmed and think you have a leak when you put everything back together. All right, now it's time to get the pump covers back on. So this spot goes over your wiring harness. Just again, push down your big harness right there. Slide that in snug. And then line up your case as well. And put all your bolts back on and rivets back in. Once that clicks in, push your lock in. Now it's time to get all the covers back on. All right, so first you're gonna put your Ecotech cover back on. I'm gonna leave mine off. I found some rat's nests in here recently because we're getting close to winter. It's getting kind of cold, so I don't want anything for them to nestle into. I want that exposed so I can clean it regularly. So I'm gonna leave mine off, but go ahead, take your cap off here, put it back onto the grommets, put your cap back on, and then next step obviously is the air box. So line the boot up with your throttle body and the snorkel with your air box there. Click it down to the grommets, get your PCV line back into the side and tighten both of those clamps, and then you're good to go. Start it up, make sure it's all good, scan it, make sure all your codes are gone, clear it, go for a drive, and you should be all right. All right, so let's fire it up and see what we get. All right, so no check engine light, which is good. I will scan it for codes later and let you guys know if there are any that pop up. Other than that, everything's all good. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully we stayed out of the way of the camera with our arms enough for you to see all that action with the camshaft position sensor. And again, this was the intake side, and I will again put the link in the description for the exhaust side as well. So thanks for watching. Hopefully it was helpful, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.